This is Module 4 of the 10-week class, and this is the overview for it. You'll start out in the first part of the week learning about Q expressions and Q calculations. You'll also learn about equilibrium and how to shift it, which is related to Q and K. So you're going to learn that when you have a reaction, if you want to know the Q for it, you're going to multiply each product that goes on top, and then it's going to be divided by each reactant. If there's only one reactant, that's what it is. So you're going to practice writing Q expressions for different equations, and then you're basically going to be given values for this, and you can plug in your Q values and actually calculate a real number for Q. So you'll practice writing that and then also practice calculating it. And then you're going to learn about how you can manipulate these reactions, these equilibriums. And overall, if you decrease heat or concentration, it's going to shift towards itself, like towards what was decreased. If you're going to increase any of those, it always will shift away. So you'll hear that again when you get to that section. And finally, you're going to be comparing Q to K. And depending on what Q and K is, if it's this relationship, then it's going to shift in the direction of products. If it's that if it's that relationship, then it's going to shift to reactants. And I also want to point out that this Q and K will come back later on. I'm going to show you where it is later on. Q and K are down here. So do you see them? So that's in Module 7. So they are going to come back. All right, so then we're going to look at manipulating K and calculating K. So this is the same thing that I was just saying. It's the actual, earlier we called this Q, but if it's at equilibrium, we call it K. And so you have an expression right there. So you're going to learn, like, if you need to take the inverse of K, like, what does that do? It actually flips the reactants and the products. Or what if you need to multiply all of the coefficients by 3? Well, it actually makes all of the exponents of K 3. And it kind of goes into the Y's in that section. Then this is another thing you actually did learn in Gen Chem 1. You learned how to add reactions. This is at the very end. You learned how, like, this side you can add up, and then this side you can add up. And at the time, you had H values, and you would add the H's. When it's K's, you multiply them. So you'll see that. Finally, you're going to learn about ice charts. And these are really important to get right now because they're going to be coming back. So for an ice chart, there's 3 areas that you solve. It's either the K, the equilibrium row, or the inertial row. So if we look over here, this is an ice chart, I, C, E. Here's the K. You might solve for that. You might solve for something in this row, or you might solve for something in that row. And those are the 3 areas you'll be solving for. Everything in each row is connected. So if you know this, you also know this, and you know this. These are always 0 except for in special circumstances, and you'll learn later on what those special circumstances are, like in a few modules. Otherwise, just assume 0. And this always has a number there. So that's what you're going to be learning. And the reason that you want to hold on to that information is because if you look on ahead, look, there's another ice chart there. There's an ice chart here. And there's an ice chart there. Oh, there's one more also over here. So I'm hoping you get the sense that ice charts aren't going away. It's a method that you will be using for the next test even. So ice charts are not going away. Practice them now.